All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Car Talk with Kevin and Colb. I'm Kevin Bauer. With me today, as always, is Colby Smith, and we're going to be talking about cars for you. So if you have any questions or anything you want to know about cars and you want to know about this from people who do not know anything about cars, go ahead. Call us in by hitting up lo-fi-pirate-radio.com. We'll bring you into the Zoom. In the meantime, Colby, how you doing today?
I'm doing well, Kevin. It's very nice to be here and talk to you.
Hey, it's nice to be here and talk to you too. So, to avoid getting too distracted, because Car Talk Radio, we're all about cars,
Yeah.
let's go ahead. I want to start things off with a pretty basic question. What was the first car that you drove?
The first car I drove was a 2005 Nissan Altima. And it was like navy blue. And we got it used when I was learning to drive when I was 15. And then that became me and my brother's car. I mean, subsequently my brother's car, up until about 2 years ago. The thing had an incredibly long life. So I'm a Nissan stan for life.
All right. So was that, I apologize, I don't know that much about your family. Older or younger brother?
Younger brother.
Okay, so it was
He carried the
basically-
torch, the Nissan torch.
Very
I
nice.
think he has a Nissan like pickup truck now.
Okay. So it's
we-
a good solid brand.
Yeah,
You
we
endorse?
had a very good experience with him, and I guess it's my job today to tell everyone to go buy a Nissan car if you
Well,
so desire. Yeah,
You know, let's not get ahead of ourselves before we do any of these endorsements, because I got to tell you, I started off, I drove an Oldsmobile Alero.
okay.
It was a 2001. It was a two-door silver.
Hmm.
And I was about to say how much I endorsed this car, except the first memories of it that came flooding back to me were of how, my older sister was the first person that got to drive the car. And then it was passed down to me when she went for college, and I was old enough to get my driver's license. And by about the time I was 17 years old, you couldn't rely on the windows to stay up. So at any given point in time, if you would like bring the window down with the electric window control, it might just come off the track and fall all the way down. And every single time that happened, you had to take it to a car dealership to get it fixed. So it was one of those things where it was like, I might be like in the drive-thru at Burger King, bring the window down to get the burger, and then not be able to put it back up for another couple months.
So this was always one of the most fascinating things to me about car maintenance, which was like the line between the body shop can fix this and you got to take this back to the dealer.
It's insane because some of it seems to be, and granted, come from someone who knows nothing about cars, but some of it seems to be based on like cars in general, but then you get into specific knowledge to different makes and models. Like I know Volkswagens, you need to have like an authorized Volkswagen dealer fix anything about it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like the more customized and specialized the parts of the car get, the more often you're going to be taking it to the dealer if there's a problem.
It's crazy. This right here is jumping ahead a little bit from where I wanted to be, but are you familiar with the Dave Ramsey? Like he's like a financial guy. He wrote a book about how to, I guess, save money or like get your money straight. I forget what it's called. I read it a couple years ago. It helped me pay off like my student loan debt, so that was cool.
Nice.
But it mostly is just like, pay off all your debts really quickly. Anyway, we're getting distracted from talking about cars. He has a very specific plan of how to do things with cars. And his whole thing is that people who are leasing cars, he says they're doing it the wrong way because all the money that you're spending on this lease payment is money that you could be just saving to spend on a car that you own. So his recommendation is like, let's say I moved back to Ohio tomorrow, right? And let's say that I'm like, okay, I have $3,000 to spend on a car. Like that's my maximum budget if I was going to buy a car to do that. He says instead of like leasing a car, like maybe a nice new Nissan, what I should do is buy a $3,000 car, like a real piece of shit, and then take the lease payments that I was going to be making month over month, set it aside, come back to in a year, combine the lease payment pile of money that I have with the current value of the car that I own, trade it into a dealership for a new car of that value, and basically keep doing that every year, drive like a beater, but That's his plan to go from like a beater to a Jag.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
I feel like so many of these like life hacks for money
Mhm.
are like they require more. Like you describing that made me tired.
No, for
Like
real.
there's so much effort involved in just like this constant scheming
Mhm.
like how to save money. And I'm not saying it's stupid. Like what he's describing sounds like a perfectly good and like smart plan, and like I'm sure that it works. But it's like it would make me miserable to
Oh
always be
yeah.
thinking about trading up all the time.
Well, the excuse they always give is if it was easy, everybody would do it.
Well,
But the
there you
thing
go.
is this, like I was looking this up because I actually, outside of the car talk idea, just for whatever reason, looked this up the other day. And the thing about it is like, if this is from like a car Reddit from people that know cars, their whole thing is like, yeah, this is fine if you are one of those people who generally know how to fix things about cars. Because when you're
Right.
in the first couple of years where you have real beaters, they're going to be breaking down a lot. And like,
Yeah.
I'd be shit out of luck, man. Like, I'd be probably paying more to take this thing into a dealership than I'd be saving the entire year.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's the sort of problem with this approach is like who knows what to do with stuff like that,
Yeah.
it's like you think you do and then you try and then it's like you only get as far as you can before you have to take it to someone whose like actual job it is to like fix these things. Do you have I totally have this, and inherited it from like all the men in my family for sure, which is just this pride of just like I'm not going to take it to somebody who knows what they're doing. Like I can figure this out. Like
It's just a larger extension of being in any kind of a store and refusing to talk to the associate in the store.
yes,
Like,
yeah,
I am not going to ask for help in a Dwayne Reed. I'm going to walk
yeah,
every single aisle 3 times until I find the shampoo that I'm looking for.
yeah, exactly. I can find it.
Yeah.
It's got to be here. Meanwhile, there's someone standing 10 feet away who knows where everything is in the store and
Mhm.
can tell you immediately. Like, I've never, like, asked an employee for something and then been like, I don't know.
We
Like, they're
should
always just
find
like,
someone.
yeah, yeah. They're always just like, yeah, aisle 3.
Yeah. It's
But yeah, the car thing is just like I remember being like 17 and like inheriting all these chores. It's like, yeah, you got to like go and take the oil change, like get the oil changed at the body shop that was just like a couple blocks away, and just being terrified to
Mhm.
like walk into this place where like in my estimation like men were men.
Yeah.
And like walk in and I was just so afraid of them asking me a question that I wouldn't know the answer to, and then that I would just like look like the absolute child that I was.
They ask like a super basic question. Like somebody comes in and they're like, okay, cool. So we'll take a look at this. This thing normally you have 4 wheels, 3 wheels. And you're like,
Yeah,
look, I'm not a
it's just
car
like,
guy.
yeah, it's the kind of question that's just like it's so obvious that you think it's a trick. You're just
Yeah.
like, well, I know it's 4, but could they be talking about something else?
Yeah. Maybe there's another couple wheels in the back.
Yes, that is how far down I will like underrate myself and my understanding of stuff. It's just like, well, this is super obvious to me, but are they smarter than?
I mean, in that context, they absolutely are. It
Well,
blows my
definitely.
mind to think that there was ever a point in time where I was trusted with keeping a car on the road because it feels
Yeah.
unfathomable now. Like,
Oh
but I
yeah.
know that I was doing oil changes, like you said. Like, I was checking a dipstick and I knew
Yeah.
what it meant for
Yes.
years.
Yes.
And that knowledge is just gone.
It's just gone. I mean, maybe it'll come back, but it's probably gone.
So, speaking of probably gone, you mentioned so your first car was that navy blue Nissan Altima.
Oh
Your younger
yeah.
brother took it over after you. You said your younger brother has maybe a Nissan truck now. What
Yeah.
happened to the Altima? Things still on the road? You
The
got
Ultima
sold?
it finally died. I mean, it had like a 13-year lifespan, which is incredible for any vehicle. I feel.
Yeah.
I mean, it ran like a tank the entire time. But I think finally the transmission just gave out.
Huh.
Which like at that point it's like if you're gonna buy a new transmission, it's like $5,000 for a car that's like already super old anyway. Like you
Yeah.
might as well buy a new one.
Yep.
And so now he has a white Nissan pickup truck, and he drives it around Maryland looking like a stud.
Huh. White pickup truck. White
White
pickup
pickup
truck's
truck.
always interesting. Feel like
Yeah.
either not doing a lot of dirty work with that pickup truck or getting it washed frequently.
Yeah, his dirty work is going from one engineering building to another at his in his doctoral program. Maybe he's got a whole equipment in that thing. I don't know.
Sure. He's always open for friends to hit him up when they need
Just-
to move.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is honestly a solid friend move.
Yeah, man. I dream about driving sometimes.
Oh
now.
shit. We got some comments. We got some comments from Jon Schoss. Jon Schoss in Queens,
On
New
YouTube?
York. Oh yeah.
All right,
Oh wow,
yeah.
I'm glad I have the YouTube window pulled up because otherwise I never would have seen it. He says, "What's up, boys? Tell me about the cars. Transmission not accomplished." Wonderful pun, John. And John, if you want to dial in and ask us some questions live, you can do so by going to lofipirateradio.com. We'll let you on into the Zoom. We'll talk to you for a while. John just requested that we tell him about cars, so let's tell him about something. You mentioned that Nissan Altima ran for about 13 years. In
Yeah.
your opinion, how long should a car last?
I mean, in my opinion, every car should last forever. In an ideal world, I would find one I like and then never have to buy another one. I could just take care of it. Like if I found a car that I like really loved, I feel like I should be allowed to take care of it for as long as I live.
Well, people do that. People have like sports cars and whatnot that they have
Yeah.
maintained since like the 50s and the 60s.
But I think it's like I think the average like lifespan of a car is like 8 years.
Okay.
If I recall correctly.
That seems plausible.
Yeah. So, it got almost twice that. It was like more than, 160% past that. It's a good car.
Yeah. Damn.
How do you feel about pickup trucks, Kevin? Would you drive one?
Ooh, so it's interesting. I would never consider myself a pickup truck guy.
Yeah.
But my dad always drove a pickup truck. Like he's always had a pickup truck. My dad though, like real blue collar guy, tough guy, did a lot of manual labor and contracting and whatnot. He's the kind of guy who can walk onto a construction site and tell you exactly why everyone's doing exactly what they're doing, exactly what tools they're using, and why those are or are not the right tools for the job. That's
Right.
the kind of guy who should have a pickup truck.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So you have to earn a pickup truck. You can't
I
just
feel
get
like it.
one.
I mean, I would feel like a poser the entire time.
Yeah.
Now, I will say, I feel like I'm not a sporty enough person to have a Jeep, but if I were to go back to having a car, I would absolutely get a Jeep, like 100%.
Do you have a problem with how ugly Jeeps are?
Oh, I think they're beautiful. I think the ugliness is part of their charm. Like,
Okay. Interesting. Yeah.
But I'm also the main like allure for me about a Jeep is the whole like not just open top, like open everything nature of it.
Okay. Yeah.
And so like that's
You're
part of-
talking you're not even like a Jeep, like SUV. You mean like a Jeep with like
those are
doors you can
hideous.
like pull off the side of.
Yeah. I want like
That's the thing.
my ideal car is as little as possible.
Okay.
Should be the car. Like it should be basically wheels and a seat. Like slightly more chassis than
Chassis.
a Mario Kart is what I'm looking for.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, looks
Yeah.
like we got John calling in. Should we go ahead and
Nice.
let John on in?
Get him in here.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're taking you now to our first guest caller. This is Jon Schoss from New York, New York. Oh, shit, I think he might have left.
Bye.
Oh, damn it.
Call back, John. We want to
Yeah,
hear
John,
from you.
go ahead.
Wait,
Oh, hey,
something's
there
happening.
he is.
Nice background, John.
John. Amazing background choice.
It's good to see you, man. You're
I think he's
connecting
got
to-
Oh, there we go. Here we go.
I
John, you are live on Car Talk with Kevin and Colb. How you doing, buddy?
There we
How's it
go.
going, everybody? Hey, guys.
Hey.
By everybody, I mean literally just the two of you and the couple of people watching. But hey, thanks for having me, guys.
Hey, thanks for
Anytime.
calling, buddy. It's good to see you.
Good to see you, man. Both of you. Yeah. So behind me here, I guess I'll jump right into it. This is my stallion for many, many years.
Yeah, the
Oh,
van.
my God.
The 1997 red Nissan Quest, and what a Quest it had.
Nissan.
What is with these Nissans today?
This is the Nissan show.
This is the Nissan show. This car was the first car that it was like our family car, there were like, gum wrappers and the cup holders type of thing. Like this was the car that we grew up in. And then my brother crashed it in high school, and somebody crashed into this door, the sliding door. So then when I took it to college, everybody had to climb in through the front seat because the door wouldn't work. So I would be the cool kid I was like, I got the minivan, so I'll pick everybody up.
Yeah.
But everybody would be climbing through the fucking front seat. And it was
you were effectively driving a 2-door minivan.
Proudly, dude. Proudly.
I feel like the van in college is a great move.
No, and I knew it was falling apart, but I did it for that reason. I brought it with me because I knew that I need to be the minivan guy.
Yeah.
That's who I am.
How did the crash happen?
I don't know. So I'm historically not very good with cars, which is why I kind of wanted to jump in today and talk to you guys about like my expertise. But the crash happened when my brother was driving it. I don't think it was his fault. I don't really know. It was like
someone just plowed into him.
Classic, yeah. He got T-boned at an intersection type of thing.
Oh man,
he was in high school, but this was like. But I kept this car going for years after that.
Yeah.
The brakes eventually just sounded like the sirens of the sea shrieking into the night. It was bad. It was really bad. But we rode it till the end. Yeah, man.
When did it finally go?
So I want to say 2011 was its final year. So like 98 to 2011.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like, for something like this, and it probably had like at least 100,000 miles, at least. Like I don't even.
Yeah, that's incredible. That's
13
a long
years.
Life. Yeah,
that's 13 years on another Nissan.
Nissan. Not to say people might get more years or less years out of their Nissans, but 13 seems like a pretty strong trend.
Damn. Yeah, I'm into the lucky 13.
Lucky 13.
So. From there, have you owned a car since then?
I have, and I'll show you which one.
Here we go.
You are so prepared.
Yeah,
you are more prepared than
this.
either of us.
Well done, John.
Incredible, Colin.
Let me see if I can find the exact one. Oh yeah, here she is. Oh my God. The memories. Oh my God.
Here we go. I'm ready.
Okay, I need to find. There's a lot of angles. There's a lot of great angles on Subarus here on the internet, apparently.
Subaru.
So
now we're talking.
I'm going to find this. I think this is the closest one.
Drive that thing upstate. Get some gardening done.
If that's not in the copy in their next commercial, I don't. Subaru, drive upstate. Get some fucking gardening done.
Drive that thing upstate. Get some garden. There we go. Now we're talking.
Oh
all
God,
right.
Look at this.
Subaru Outback.
So
2000 what?
02.
Oh, yes.
So this car entering the life of our family was such a big deal. The day my dad got it, he was like, hey, he called the house phone and he was like, hey guys, come meet me outside. And he was on the driveway, like leaning against this car, like,
wow.
Check out the new whip. We got a fucking station wagon, baby.
Oh my God. That's awesome.
This was the chair.
What is the most stuff you had in the back of that thing?
Oh, dude. Guitars, multiple guitars.
Yeah.
Probably 12 to 15 empty Starbucks cups on the floor. Blunt wraps, just everything was bad. Like I lived in the car. This car, though, had a sad ending. I totaled it. But,
oh man!
Oh shit! How'd you total it?
By hitting another car.
Sure, that'll do it.
To be fair, this one 100% wasn't my fault. It was on the highway. It was really fucking scary. But like some dude in front of the person I hit, like tried to turn left on a highway. And like the person in front of me stopped short, and then that was it. But 02 to 2014, 12 years.
12 is pretty good.
I gotta ask you a question. You mentioned that you had some blunt wraps laying around in that car.
Yeah.
Did you? I'm assuming. Did you ever hotbox this Subaru?
Yes, yes, so, multiple times, and
Okay.
my parents are watching today.
Okay. Great.
So
Wonderful.
they knew this. They knew this. They smelled. They took a whiff of what was going on in this car. It was bad. But like I lived in the car. Like I took it everywhere. I would drive it into the city all the time. But yeah, blunt wraps. It was bad.
Okay.
In my town, I just want to say my last point here about Subarus, the reputation they had. Every Jewish family had a Subaru, pretty much. This was like the urban kind of folklore. So they were called Jubarus for a little while. I don't want to make that name stick for any reason around. But this was my Jubaru.
You're just holding the mirror up to society right now, Jon.
Yeah, this is it.
This is not you starting this. You're just reporting back.
No, this is it. And I'm sure that name has popped up in other communities, but I just want to say that I was a proud Jubaru owner.
Wow.
Yeah.
Kevin, wow.
Listen, ladies and gentlemen out there, we got 3 viewers on the stream. If anyone else has ever encountered the term Jubaru, go ahead, call in lofipiratradio.com.
That'll take you right to the Zoom.
Jon, I got to ask you too. So you hotboxed the Subaru.
The whip.
Did you ever hotbox the Nissan van? And if so, can you give us a breakdown of what it was like, the ins and outs of hotboxing either vehicle?
Thank you for asking. They're both very unique experiences. So the van was for sure the car that I came home from college with that car. And I drove it around my hometown. And this is like when I would go around like trying to like find weed. This is back when Facebook Messenger was a very good tool in finding weed in your hometown. So, I would drive the minivan around and buy weed from like fucking kids in high school, and that was the minivan experience. And then, so it was very treacherous. It felt very like I was breaking the law. Pretty much every time I entered the car, laws were broken. And then the Subaru, the transition between the van and the Subaru was like a couple of months. So I was still very much the same like 22-year-old kid driving around in the Subaru. And I would say an equal amount of laws were broken in the Subaru.
Well, this brings up the just the same 22-year-old kid comment just brings up sort of an issue that I've been thinking about a lot lately, which is, do people ever change?
Or just our cars?
Or just our cars?
I think people adapt.
They
don't change; they adapt.
I think that's true.
And the car thing, yeah, man. The car. Like, I wouldn't dream of owning a car now. Like, I also haven't driven a car in probably over 2 years.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, living in the city, you just don't even think about it.
I don't think about it, and then I go home to visit my family, and then I have to drive the car, and then I'm a freaking speed freak.
Oh, dude, I know.
I get so hyped on just driving the car.
Yeah, it's because like the last time I was driving consistently, I was a stupid young kid, like after college, living in my hometown. So I was driving around fast, like blowing fucking stop signs, like. But hey, everybody grows up, and everybody adapts.
Well, especially when it's like streets that you know so well from just like years of living in a place. It's just like, yeah, you know where the cops are. You like know what the safe risks are to take. It's fun.
I was stopped by the cops, I would say, more times in the Subaru than I was in the Outback or in the Nissan.
Which is interesting because I've always heard that red vehicles are more likely to be stopped by the police, because I guess for whatever reason there's a mental association with people speeding in red vehicles. That's a real car fact. It's maybe the first real car fact that I've dropped on this entire show.
First usable car fact. I don't know. Cars go fast. Cars go zoom.
There's a second real car fact.
That's what I gotta say. But yeah, and multiple laws.
Welcome to Car Talk with Kevin and Colb. Cars go zoom, cars go vroom. Any questions?
Cars go fast.
Cars go beep beep, honk honk, beep beep.
Yeah, that's the name. That should be the name of the show. Guys, thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for calling in.
Jon, thanks for calling in.
Fantastic.
Take care, man. I'm glad you're hanging in there.
Take care, guys. Be well, all right?
Hey, you too. Honk, honk, beep, beep,
Honk,
buddy.
honk, beep, beep.
Honk, honk, beep, beep.
Oh, that was fantastic.
Great
Major shout out to
call.
Jon Schoss.
Great call.
Colby, that brought up your statement back there brought up a question that I have for you, which is,
Mhm.
are you a speeder when you drive? Do you speed in your car?
I like to do a comfortable like 7, 8 miles over the speed limit. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's the old slogan? 8 you're great, 9 you're mine
That's
for the highway
right.
patrol? Yeah.
I
Let's
adhere
do that.
very strictly to that rule. Yeah. Yeah. Um, but especially kind of the thing I was talking about earlier is like whenever it's like a street that you like know really well, like if you're driving around your hometown after, years of driving around your hometown, you
Mhm.
kind of don't even notice how fast you're going in a way.
Yeah.
It's kind of just like muscle memory of like, this is how fast I go on this street. And then sometimes you miscalculate.
Yeah, you're just lost in it's like that thing of how you don't register new memories in your short term after a certain
Right.
amount of time because it's all
Yes.
so well worn. So like
Yeah.
you just go, oh shit, how the hell did I get here?
Yeah. Now,
Yeah.
I want to bring up, if we're going to be talking about cars,
Sure.
I would like to show off a prop, if I may. This is
Please.
this is a recent issue of Classic Car Magazine that I have here.
Now, Colby,
Now,
why do you have that?
Kevin, I'm so glad you asked. So the story begins in the year 2011,
As
in
many
which,
stories do.
as many stories do, in which I was visiting my grandfather and grandmother and sort of that part of my dad's family. And I was sitting on the couch in their house and I was bored. And I was just flipping through the magazines that they had on their coffee table. And one of them was Classic Car Magazine. So there I am just flipping through just to pass the time, try and go somewhere else mentally as you do. And my grandfather notices and he goes, you like what you see? And I was like, yeah, sure, whatever. Like he's been a reader for many years. I'm not about to insult his favorite magazine. And he was like, oh, interesting. Didn't know you were into that stuff. And I was like, yeah, just kind of browsing. For the following 9 years, after he receives, I'm going to cover up his address, but after he receives everything in the mail, he then puts them in an envelope and sends them to me.
Oh
And
my
it's been
God.
going on for so long that I don't have the heart to say I don't really need these.
So and correct me if I'm wrong here, I feel like we are easily at the point where it would have been cheaper to get you 9 years worth of subscriptions
Of
to
my
this
own,
magazine.
yes, absolutely. Rather than package it in an envelope, pay like $6 or $8, just send it through the post office. But he has I've moved apartments and he's kept track of my address. Like, it's an incredible commitment on his part. And to that, I say mad respect.
That is truly touching. It's honestly a great way for you and your grandfather to stay close.
It really is, except that I never really open them. And then he'll be like, hey, did you see the 53 Motorama Showstopper in this month's issue? And I'll be like, oh, yeah, great stuff. And he'll go, great stuff, and then just move on.
So he does kind of quiz you to make sure
He
you're
kind
reading
of
these.
does, but it's always just a yes or no.
Oh, that's adorable.
So I can just say, yeah, so here we go. This is a 1974 Bricklin SV1
Okay.
with doors that kind of go up
Wow.
like that.
That is sure a color.
Pretty outdoorsy looking car, if you ask me. How do you feel about doors that go up?
I think they're called, are those suicide doors? Or are suicide doors the ones that go like this? Because there's the
Ooh.
ones that go up like this, like a DeLorean. And then there's the ones that go kind of like, they like swoop.
I think suicide doors are the ones that go like out. Like they're like this
shit.
and they go out.
Wait. Yeah,
like
I think
that.
you're right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah.
Why they're called that, I am not sure.
They've got.
I guess it's because you can. Maybe it's because you can easily bail out of the car if it's opening this way.
Sure. Oh man. Yeah.
That's not too hard to figure out. But yeah,
I think
classic
doors
car.
that go up, I think they are incredibly impractical. I'm a very tall man. I am
Yes.
6'5" tall, and hard to get in a car normally for me. Actually, quick segue. My parents bought like a very cheap sports car. They found an Audi, like 2003, and it's a convertible. And so they got it. They found this thing online for like $4,000 on Craigslist. So they got this thing, and I went back to Ohio for an extended period of time last year, and they were like, "We have a treat for you. You need a car while you're back here. We're gonna let you drive this car around." And I was like, "Oh, this is pretty cool. It's it's a little bit older, but it's a convertible. This will be nice."
Yeah.
And it was so difficult to get in at my height. I looked like an idiot every single time that I climbed into this thing. And then on top of that, it had like this little tiny sports car windshield, and my like vision could not see through the windshield. So I could only drive the car by leaning way forward and looking like straight up at stoplights and stuff. So in general, cars difficult for me. While I've never tried to get in one with the doors that go like this, I don't think I would have a good time.
Yeah, I don't think so either. It kind of seems to me like a try hard thing. You know?
Oh yeah.
It's like when you go to never mind.
No.
I was gonna say
drop the bitterness.
It's like when you go to someone's house for a movie night and they have a TV, but they insist on setting up the projector.
Are you saying this because I did this to you at one point in time?
Did you do this?
I can't remember. I did it to you. Definitely.
I don't
had a
think
projector.
so, Kev. I would never like sandbag you like that on the show.
Honestly, I would respect the hell out of it. It would be. I had a projector, but it was such a not ideal situation that anytime we ever used it, we watched one of the bowl games on it a couple years ago. But the only way we could set it up in my old apartment, because all the rooms were so narrow, is if we set it up in this one room where we had it directly in front of the door, the screen directly in front of the door. So we had food in the kitchen, and then the people watching the bowl game had to go into this room, duck under the screen, like pull it up like the door to a pillow fort, go under the screen and into the room. So it was a bunch of like grown men ducking under this little blanket to get into a room, like crawling on their hands and knees. And sometimes I think back on it and become extremely embarrassed that I subjected my friends to this.
Now, when you were a kid, was there ever a stretch where you were like into cars?
No,
not at all.
No,
okay.
never really was like a Hot Wheels guy. The closest I ever got was Transformers.
Yeah.
But like definitely so a lot of my family lives like in the country of Ohio. So it was always a thing where like I would go over to cousins' houses and their toys would be John Deere tractors. And I could not like be less interested in like farming equipment.
Yeah.
So
I mean
that by proxy.
That's a bridge too far for me. I definitely like new kids who are just like, yeah, check this out. I have like a bright green John Deere like hay baler toy. And I was like, okay, what games are we going to play with it? This toy represents chores to me.
Like adult chores. We got another caller too. We got Matt Starr joining in.
Nice.
Matt, I'm letting you in right now.
Matt, you're connecting to audio right now. I can see you. Now I can hear you.
Hello. Here we go. Matt, you're live on Car Talk with Kevin and Colb. How you doing?
Long-time listener. This is so incredible. I'm just thrilled to be here. I'm so excited to be talking to Kevin and Colb. I can't believe I'm seeing you guys.
I know. It's great to see you, buddy.
What can I offer here? Are we talking cars? Is that what I heard?
We're talking cars. You know, we started off by talking about the first cars that we drove like as teens.
Okay.
If that sparks any.
Yeah, I had a Toyota Camry. It was my dad's. It was white and it was very responsible.
Just like your dad. So you say it's your dad's car. Did he get a new car and then pass this on to you?
So this would have been what, like I was 16 and the year 2004, something like that.
Okay.
So this would have been like a year 2000 Toyota Camry, white Toyota Camry. And the reason I got that car is because my dad accidentally bought a car off eBay.
Accidentally
bought a car?
So he was looking, eBay was like still pretty new. And they were like, hey, we're selling cars. And he's like, I like cars. And he found like a Chevy 300, like a 300M. I don't know. What is it? It was a big car. It was a real big car. And
the M stands
like,
for mega.
Through, and then he basically like clicked the wrong button and went like, oops. and
Whoa.
then bought a car. And so then we had that car for a couple years. But then like when that car showed up, he was like, okay, well, I got a new car. And now you can have this one.
So I don't want you to tell tales out of school here, but do you happen to know how much he accidentally bought this car for?
I don't. I'm willing to bet like the only way he would have bought it is if it was a steal. Like it was a used car. It wasn't new. It was on eBay, of course. Like that if he had like there's no way he would have bought it if he didn't think it was a good deal, just knowing my dad. He also had for sure like have you ever read Consumer Reports? It's like it's like highlights for dads.
I think Colby's grandpa sends that to him.
Colby, I feel like you are like the perfect like writer for Consumer Reports.
When I could crush at that job.
There's no way he bought a car without looking at it first on Consumer Reports.
Right. Well, that's what's so funny about that is like buying a car is such a huge ordeal for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Like everyone's got an opinion on it. They're like, you can't trust the salesman. You have to like talk to everyone you know before you buy a car.
Mm-hmm.
Just to get their opinion. And he just pressed the wrong button and had a car.
My dad is somebody who loves technology, but it will always like he was a big like sound system guy too. And, like,
sure.
Big into like Bose like 5.1 Dolby Digital like kind of stuff. And so I think that was where the eBay stuff started.
Gotcha. Okay.
Mm-hmm. What were first cars for you? Like, did you have like did you buy your own cars or did you inherit your cars?
Oh no, very much inherited.
Yeah. We've been talking almost exclusively about Nissans today. But you, a Toyota, also a Japanese car manufacturer.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess what we're saying is buy Japanese.
Yeah. Actually, on this topic, I really do have a real car take on Japanese cars. Mm-hmm. So had a Honda, like my family switched over to pretty much exclusively Hondas mm-hmm. for our like wave of cars the family owns now. I've noticed that Hondas are incredible with like acceleration, handling in general. But once you get them on the ice, they can't brake for shit. Was that your experience with a Toyota and with a Nissan?
With the Toyota, I'm sorry to jump in, Colby.
No, please.
Honda makes the Civic, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
So with the Toyota, I like did fine, but not to jump topics here too quick. Did either of you have to take a self-defensive driving class or a defensive driving class?
No,
I don't think so.
So the reason why I thought of this is because I grew up right down the street from Mid-Ohio Racetrack in Ohio, which is it's like an IndyCar track. Like it's shaped like a dick. It's got like a real ball. It literally shaped just like a dick. But they would have this like defensive driving class, and my brother had a Saturn. He had a Saturn, which is like a brand that they don't make anymore, right? And he totaled his car. He like tried to turn going 40 miles an hour onto like a suburban street and just went right into a tree. And so it freaked my mom out. And so I had my permit for 2 weeks, and she was like, "You're taking a defensive driving class." And she took me to Mid-Ohio Racetrack. They put me behind the wheel of a Civic, of a Honda Civic. And they were just like, "Okay, we're gonna put you into every nightmare scenario that you can imagine. We're gonna recreate hydroplaning. We're gonna put you in a car that is like on coasters so you can feel what it's like to drive on ice." And this was I had driven 3 times, and like all of a sudden like, oh, by the way, it's a stick shift, and I did not drive stick. And so it was just like great. It's one of those experiences that I bet if I were to do it now, it'd be so much fun. And I was nothing but scared the entire time. Can I ask, Carl, I didn't realize I have such strong feelings about cars. Did your fathers give you any advice before you started driving? And also, who taught you to drive, your mom or your dad?
Ooh. Colby, you want to feel it?
My mom almost exclusively taught me how to drive. But I definitely like had some like sessions with dad, you know. But I think he found it too stressful.
Mhm.
It was a lot of like, I mean, it's like a fairly like hack thing to mention, but the invisible brake on the passenger side was a very real thing for my dad.
Huh.
Kevin?
But yeah,
So
mom took it over.
I think my mom also, I would say it was probably about 50-50. So I really did not want to learn to drive. I feel like I was very atypical for a high schooler for that. I think it was half fear. I was like very afraid of getting in a wreck or something. And it was half like my happy state is doing absolutely nothing. Like full on Peter Gibbons from Office Space. I just want to be on a couch and look at a wall. So like having to do any kind of learning was past my comfort zone. So like my mom would take me out to this strip mall parking lot and just have me like floor it. And it was like an abandoned strip mall. So I would like floor it for a long period of time and slam on the brakes to feel how it skidded and fishtailed.
Mhm.
My dad's strategy was more, it was split between taking me out into the country and then getting out of the car and being like, you're going to drive us home and getting me there. So like a lot of winding country roads. And then
Mhm.
occasionally, so I was talking a little earlier, Matt, I'm not sure if I know you met my parents, but I'm not sure if you know too much about what they do. My dad ran an asphalt sealing company. So we had all these like huge like trucks. So another thing that he did is he would like put me behind the wheel of one of these gigantic trucks, like a dump truck, have me drive that so I could get a feel for like what it's like in all these different vehicles. So
That you could only inflict damage, and
I,
you could really feel like indestructible behind the wheel of a car.
yeah,
Um,
absolutely. Oh,
no,
I actually this made me want to ask about this too. So the defensive driving class you did, that was on a racetrack?
it was in like the like satellite parking lot around the racetrack. Yeah,
Okay.
we didn't
That's
So I was
actually
gonna
so
say
cool.
the racetrack itself, the like one time that I worked with my dad for a summer, we sealed a racetrack in Norwalk, Ohio.
Mhm.
And for listeners who don't know or have never been on a racetrack, it's extremely sticky. It's like a very, very sticky surface so that the race cars that are going so fast don't like fly off the road. So I was
Mhm.
like, why would you want to do a defensive driving course there when you're going to be stuck to the road? But
Mhm. No,
that was my question.
is that the advice my dad gave me before learning to drive, and also he for both me and my older brother, he was like, I'm going to teach him to drive, and then he would go with us once, and he'd come in, and he would just like look at he'd look at my mom and be like, you do it. Uh, but the advice he gave me was, he looked at me, he basically handed me the keys, and he's like, this is the most dangerous thing you'll ever do. So take it seriously.
Amazing.
Um,
That's
And he's right. Like, for most people, driving a car is, statistically the most dangerous thing they'll do. Uh,
yeah.
I'd like to think that I've lived my life in such a way that that's not true, but I really don't know if that's the
Oh man. So a question for you then on that same topic of the danger of driving. Have you, and this is for Matt, both you and for Colby, have you driven in New York City and does it scare you?
I have not driven in Manhattan. I've driven those like little zip cars in Brooklyn, like to get back from IKEA.
right.
And yes,
Um, I have driven in Manhattan. I've driven a fair amount around New York. It does scare me, but also it's like it scares me the same way that like when you're say like doing something that you haven't done in a long time, and then like you pick up the you start driving, like, oh god, I don't know how any of this stuff works, and then within like 5 minutes I'm like, fuck you.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Like part of it. um the most afraid I've ever been driving was driving back from a wedding. I actually just told this story as part of an online improv show. uh,
Nice.
So the quarantine's really been fruitful for driving. Uh, but I was driving home, and maybe this might be a whole thing, and I don't mean to, again, talk out of school. A friend of mine has a really shitty car. And I don't want to use his real name, but his name is Andy Stios.
Drag him.
Very, very nice, lovely guy, very funny, very talented. His car, we were talking about it the other night, and somebody phrased it this way that I think is absolutely perfect: that if you're drunk and you get into this car, you think it's fine. And if you're sober, you're like, no, this is not safe. But we were driving back from a wedding, and his car, like the air conditioner was broken, and it started to storm. It started like a really bad, like severe thunderstorm. And so the windshield started fogging up, and we were driving through like on the freeway through a construction site. And it was like, I was behind the wheel, and it was the most stressed out I've ever been behind the wheel of a car. It was so much worse than, New York City driving. You just learn like nobody's going to hit you. So you just kind of move. And if somebody does hit you, then you just kind of like yell at them or whatever. Like, but yeah, like it's just, this was so much worse of like, I'm so much more afraid of driving fast in inclement weather with like fogging up windshield.
Yeah.
And, three of my closest friends in the car that like, if somebody turns into us, we're all dead. Like,
I think the most afraid I've ever been behind the wheel was after moving to New York and then not driving for like at all for like 3 straight years, and then having to go out to LA for work, and then having to like rent a car from LAX and get on the 405 and be in like 10 lanes of traffic like right away. And I found that when I'm stressed out, I talk to myself. It's a lot of just like, okay, and merging. Let's see if anyone's behind me. Cool.
I for sure do that. Of just like, okay, what's this guy doing? All right.
Yeah.
100%.
Come on.
Live your life, sir.
I will say this. I think I feel less safe driving in LA than I do driving in New York City.
Really?
Okay.
I think in New York, everybody I trust, like I think people are like, I'm driving out of necessity. Like, this is my job. Do this, or like I'm wealthy enough that I can afford a car here, and thus I'm like trying to get to work and just trying to get to my parking space. Whereas in LA, everybody has a car.
Yeah.
Like have you heard that speeding tickets and car accidents are up in LA and New York because there's fewer people on the road, so people are driving faster.
Oh my God.
And so like they're driving more recklessly. Like I've talked to friends like, yeah, people are driving more recklessly than ever, going well over 100 miles an hour on the highways in LA just because they can for the first time. And it's causing so many more accidents.
I know in Queens specifically, pedestrian collisions in cars are way up. It's up like 400%.
I mean, that's insane. But I get it. I mean, there is part of this just feels like there's no rules, and they keep talking about closing all these streets to traffic so that people can like be outside, even though like parks are closed. Mm-hmm. And I really want to see the guy who's like ready to drive recklessly, like come across a street that he knows and then it's closed, and just get that like, son of a bitch. Like, I was ready for my rampage.
Mm-hmm.
Man.
Would you rather be driving or a passenger in a car?
Driving for sure.
Same. Yeah,
I don't like the back seat.
There's some kind of a weird thing where when I'm in the passenger seat of a car, I feel like a child. Like there's some kind of a really weird like power trip thing about it where I feel completely impotent when I'm being driven around in a car, and I only like driving.
What's the like? I feel that way never more than when I'm in an Uber or like a cab or a Lyft, I guess. Like I went to Trader Joe's a couple weeks ago and grocery shopped, and then I was like, well, I'm not going to take the train home, and I've got too much to carry to walk. So there's like a yellow cab right out front, or a green cab. I live in Brooklyn. And I get in the cab, and I'm just like, I don't like being in here. I'm out of control. And then the guy looked at me in the eyes in the rearview mirror, and he went, so you think they'll find a cure soon? And I was just like, get me out of here. What movie is this?
Oh, no. That's so bad.
It was rough. I was like, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be in this car.
Yeah. You just be like, yeah, I think they will.
Yeah. Yeah, sure. What do you think? I agree with that.
There is a definite thing where like I will just say I agree to get out of any conversation with someone like that, even just like at a party or anything. Like if it's someone I don't want to talk to, I'm just like, yep, you're right about everything. Like I'm not gonna have this fight with you.
Oh yeah, you know that if you incite conflict, they're just gonna rope you in for longer.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
this is like the most comfortable I've ever felt talking to two people about this, that I believe both of you are exactly the same as me, where it's like, yeah, I would much rather just like I have talked to Kate about this. That I think I'd be very easy to frame for murder because somebody would be like, "Hey, they murdered me," and I'd be like, "I'm not gonna fight you."
Yes.
Whatever.
Just stop talking to me. Whatever.
I'm not gonna fight you on anything. What do you want? Let's just get through this interaction, and then I'll go to jail for the rest of my life.
Oh
Yeah, I
God.
identify with that. Yeah.
Yeah, I also completely agree. And Matt, I gotta thank you for calling. We actually have another caller coming in, but
Hey,
thank you very
so for
much.
your time. This has been lovely. I'm gonna go back to playing Super Mario Odyssey.
Right on.
Absolutely.
Good to talk to you, dude. We'll talk soon.
Honk,
Yeah.
honk, beep, beep, my friend.
Honk, honk, beep, beep. Keep
Honk, honk,
driving.
beep, beep.
Mhm.
All right, we got another caller coming in right now. Ben Hargrave is on the line. Ben, I'm letting you into the Zoom right now. This is wonderful. I haven't talked to Ben in forever.
There we go. Connecting to
Let's see
audio.
Here we go.
Oh my God, it's Joe Exotic.
Here he comes.
There we go.
And
We're
here we go.
connected.
Ben, you are on the line.
What's
Welcome to Car
up?
Talk with Kevin and Colb.
What's
Yes.
up, dude?
Dude, I'm so excited.
Let's talk some cars, my man.
Man, it's good to see you.
It's good to see you guys. What's up?
We're hanging. We're talking vroom vroom. We're talking
Talking
beep,
cars?
You know it. I would say the main topic of the call today has been your first car, kind of what it meant to you. So what was the first thing you ever drove?
Okay, first car I drove, I guess like it was a Toyota Previa, which was like my parents' minivan, and then my brother and I like shared that for a while. That was good. Can I say though, when I saw this talk, I've been listening for the past 20 minutes.
Yeah, man.
I have like an old version of Zoom and my computer's not great and I can't make like my own background. I really wanted to make my background me being in a car. And I wanted to come in with the joke and say, you best start believing in ghost stories, Mr. Car. You're in one. Anyway.
I mean, hearing the description's making me laugh. So Matt, respect.
Correct me if I'm wrong. That's a Shutter Island joke, right?
No. Pirates of the Caribbean.
Pirates.
Oh shit! Wow.
Yeah.
You know, I frequently
Jack.
mistake Pirates of the Caribbean and Shutter Island.
Two very similar movies.
I've always I had a crossover slash fic I was working on for a while where it was Jack Sparrow goes to Shutter Island, washes ashore. So I do
Why
think this
is
is
the
very
rum
interesting.
gone?
I do think this is very interesting. So your first car was a Toyota. It's another Japanese car.
Japanese
Japanese
car.
cars
And-
keep
and
coming up
then-
on this call.
And then it became a Honda Accord after that.
On the court. Okay, yeah, Honda, another Japanese company.
But I grew up I drove for the first time in Massachusetts. And so like we had snow and stuff. And I don't remember either car being like bad. I know the minivan, I was definitely like, I'd get a little nervous about it just because it was a big boy. But never, actually, no, I definitely remember sliding like once when I was a pizza delivery driver in my Honda Accord.
Oh wow.
And I was going down like a hill. And I remember I just like fucking just like slid into the road. And like if there were any cars there, I would have fucking wrecked them and myself. But that was like the only like really scary, I think, like slip and slide I did. So
Word. I had a similar one also in a Honda, also in an Accord actually. It was
what year?
It was, oh boy, this was
What year
I
was the
think-
model?
the model I believe was a 2009.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was the year that it happened was 2011. So it wasn't that old at the time, but it was I was turning out of a Kroger parking lot for the Midwesterners out there.
I'm from Cincy, baby.
There you go. And yeah, I'm turning out of a Kroger parking lot and it's kind of icy and saw a car coming that had been in my blind spot previously, hit on the brakes and the car kept going. So I had to like veer it off the road. Only real scary moment I've ever had.
A slip and slide. I can't believe I didn't say a slip and slide is like the scariest thing that's ever happened to me in a car, because it's definitely scarier than driving in like on like a huge highway in LA. Like when you hit the brake and the car does not stop, like this sense of loss of control is so like it shakes me to my core.
Absolutely.
It's awful.
And like it was the kind of thing where like the road was super icy, and I was like driving with my siblings in the car, and they do the thing where you like turn towards the slide, you know?
Ooh.
And so I did that, and it was like still going, and the brakes caught like just in time to not like just like plow into this hill that was like on like right off the side of the road. And so just extremely lucky. And I remember turning around and just being like, you guys cannot say a word about this to Mom. Like, we're safe. The car is fine. This didn't happen.
Holy shit. Oh yeah,
Oh, man.
those are so terrifying. I'd say my second scariest was like, I was driving home from the beach with my brother, and like we were with his buddy who had like a Mustang convertible, and my brother was driving. And this was like pure day, it was like daylight, like in the summer. And my brother was just going like 100 on a highway. And then all of a sudden we were on a curve, and there was a semi just right in front of us, just parked. Like it was just dead traffic. And my brother slammed on the brake, like had to slam on the brake so hard, and luckily like veered to the right to like dodge the semi. But we were already like 10 or 15 feet in, like by the time we stopped. And I was like, we would have just gotten cut in half if you.
Yeah, seriously.
Like we would have just been shredded. Just fucking.
There is probably a whole episode of this to be done that's just like close calls.
Right.
In the car, because like I feel like everybody's got them.
Close calls in the car.
The 3 C's.
Yeah.
Comedians in cars having close calls.
No.
It's just Jerry Seinfeld taking a defensive driving class.
Yeah. Oh my God, that would be incredible. He would love it.
So, okay, you said your brother was going like 100. Are you personally a speeder? And I will say, I will give you the specific caveat of when you were a pizza delivery guy, did you speed to get the pizza there faster?
Absolutely not.
Never worth it for you?
No, absolutely not. I drove around in Worcester, Massachusetts, if you've been, but it's like the neighborhoods I was in were like small streets and stuff. So it was never like, there's always a lot of stop and go. And also, like, I didn't give a shit, and like I was paying for my own gas. So I was like, I'm not gonna fucking waste gas. My boss never reimbursed me for gas. But I never drove fast then. But I guess like personally, there's definitely like I'll definitely have like times where I've driven fast, but like just a little bit, but like not on like a regular basis. I'd say I'm a moderate driver.
Okay,
that's good. That's safe.
Yeah.
And I'll also ask, so when did you move from Cincinnati out to Massachusetts?
When I was like 10.
Okay, so you didn't do a lot of driving around Cincinnati.
Oh, never. No.
Gotcha.
Only Massachusetts, yeah.
Okay.
But the first time I drove in New York, I was like 16 or 17 because I took my girlfriend to see the Phantom of the Opera.
Oh
so we drove
Flex.
here.
That's awesome.
And I remember it was the scariest I've ever been in my life. Like it was so terrifying driving in New York City as like a 17-year-old. I was like shitting my pants. It was so.
I mean, for sure.
It was so stressful.
That's one thing that I've always admired about a very good friend of mine, David Raffalides. Maybe one of the people I know with the most deep-seated anger in him. We came out to New York City for a Del Close marathon when we were like 19 years old. And he had a 12-passenger van. His family had a 12-passenger van. So a bunch of us from our college improv team loaded into this 12-passenger van. We were picking up one of our friends as we were leaving New York City they were staying with somebody else in New York. We didn't have any context of like where the different places were in New York. So we had all stayed in like a place in Chelsea, and then they were staying with a friend of ours. Long story short, Dave had to drive a 12-passenger van through Times Square when he was 19 years old. Not only did he do it fearlessly, he would be at a stoplight where it was like crowded with tourists. This is in the middle of the summer. And he would roll the window down and be screaming at people like, get the fuck away from the car. Don't touch the car. What are you doing? And just to have the balls to do that when you're 19.
Wow.
Can you imagine? I couldn't do that now.
No way.
Wow. And he's still doing it to this day.
Yeah.
Man.
Every day.
He'd be great.
I can't imagine a better note to end on than that.
Same here. I think, Colby, you had a hard out, right?
I got a hard out at 2:18.
All right. Well, I'll get out of here so you could do an official goodbye.
Ben, thank you so much for calling in.
Thanks for calling, buddy. Good to see you.
Good to
Hong
see
Kong
you guys.
beep beep to you.
Hong Kong beep beep.
Love you, buddies. Be safe.
You too.
All right,
Oh,
Kevin.
man. Ben Hargrave.
Kevin.
Cool.
as kind of a wrap up, I thought as a final segment, I thought we would do like a rapid fire question thing.
Oh, I love that.
So I quickly Googled rapid fire car questions. And what came back instead was just rapid fire office icebreaker questions from the website elfster.com.
Hit me.
So I'm going to hit you with those. Okay, ready?
Mm-hmm.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how good are you at keeping secrets?
Secretly, I'm a 1.
Ariel or Jasmine?
My Ariel.
First celebrity crush?
First celebrity crush, probably Ariel.
Dawn or dusk?
Dawn. Dish soap.
If you could travel back in time, what period would you go to?
Boy. Wow. Truly bad at these. The Cretaceous period?
Favorite junk food?
Favorite junk food is not snowballs. Anything but snowballs.
Favorite season?
Favorite season is spring. I'll give a real answer for that. I love the spring.
Cake or pie?
Cake. Every
And
time.
Finally, do you ever post inspirational quotes on social media?
Haven't yet, but it's never too late to start.
All right, that's the end of the rapid fire question round.
That was wonderful. Colb, this was very fun. We should do this again soon.
We absolutely should. This was really fun.
Yeah.
Thanks everybody for calling.
Thanks
It's great
everybody
to
for
hear
tuning
your
in.
stories. And Kevin, we'll see you on the road. Honk honk beep beep, my friend.
Honk honk beep beep to you too. Oh, actually, I'm gonna play some outro music.
Outro music. Okay,
Yeah, sorry.
cool.
Let's take it out back. And ladies and gentlemen, again, thank you for tuning in. This has been Car Talk with Kevin and Colb. Honk honk beep beep to you all. That's that theme song.
Even